Everyone, and welcome back to my channel Stitches Past 5. My name is Veera, and on this channel I like to talk about anything that's going on in my knitting life, and today we're here to do another podcast. I think this is podcast episode 7 of this year. So today I'm going to share kind of what's going on in my knitting life, what's on my needles, how those projects are going, and so on and so forth. So it's the end of May at the time of filming this, and I don't know, here we had a couple of really nice and warm days where I was like, whoa, it's summer and like I'm ready to do all my summer knitting. Then for the last like 2-3 weeks the weather has just been freezing cold. Like the snow is back on the mountains and it's just genuinely like a bit chilly, which I guess is nice for like finishing up winter projects or like knitting sweaters, but it's not really putting me in the mood for like a lot of summer like vibes, or I'm still doing my summer knitting, so yeah, but I'm definitely kind of like ready for it to get a little bit warmer and for the rain to stop so that we can actually like, you know, go hiking and go running and see the mountains again, because right now it's just grey. And I don't know, here you kind of forget that you're in the mountains when it's like a really grey day because they just disappear, but that's life, I guess. So I want to start with what I'm wearing here. So this is my Viimein sweater, which is actually a really thick like winter sweater, but honestly like our heating is off and it's just not that warm, so I can definitely like bear this even in the house. I wore this to the office the other day even, and it was just perfect, although we are like technically at the rear end of spring, but the weather doesn't really know that right now. So the pattern is by Veera Jussola, I'm not sure, and I knitted up in the I think it's Wolle, Rödelsport and Strumpfwolle. It's like a really old yarn. I made like a whole vlog about this. I knit this up in 19 hours, so that was like the whole like project. I just wanted to see how long it takes me to knit a sweater, and I held that yarn together with the Hobbii Kid silk in like a dark blue color, and I knit it on 6mm needles, and yeah, it turned out really beautiful. Like I love the halo from the mohair. The camera always like kind of struggles to pick it up, but there is a lot of halo from the mohair on this. It's not too much mohair where like, I don't know, I'm not the biggest mohair lover. A, it can get a bit itchy, and B, it just flies everywhere. So I'm not the biggest fan, but I needed to hold this yarn together with the mohair just to hit gauge, and also it was a really old yarn, so I just wanted to ensure the integrity. What I really love about the sweater is the opening. So it's like a kind of like a very wide, what do you call this, like a wide neck, and then it is very like drop shoulder, so the shoulder drops around about here, and then the sleeves are just kind of knit straight with a few decreases. Would definitely recommend this pattern if you're a beginner knitter. This like I said, I knitted it up in 19 hours, which I think is really quick for a knitted sweater. Mind you, it is a big gauge, it's like a 16 stitch gauge. But anyways, I just wanted to share that before we start with today's podcast. Okay, so today I actually don't have any finished items. I think with finishing the Elizabeth blouse that I was working on, as well as the Simple Things sweater, that kind of wrapped up my winter knitting, or like the items that I wanted to finish in spring. And yeah, that meant I got to cast on a lot of new projects. Some are quite a bit more advanced than others, but I'll be sharing them all today. So we're going to start kind of chronologically according to like when I cast the project on. The first one is a sweater. It is a gift knit, so let me show you. So the first object is a work in progress, and it looks like this at the moment. So it is the Coffee Run sweater by Kutovakika, and I'm making this for my aunt. She kind of asked me to knit something for her, so I was really happy to do that, and she picked this yarn and color by herself. This is kind of what the yarn and the color is. I think it's pretty accurate from what I see. The yarn I'm using, I have the tag here, so it is the Drops Air in color 45. So this is a chain net yarn, I think you can see it quite well here, that has fiber blown into it, and the fiber content is 65% alpaca and 7% wool, and then it's 28% polyamide. I guess that's from the like chain knit itself that the other fibers are being blown into. I've used this yarn in the past and I've not always loved it. I made a sweater for my partner in it, and it's a colorwork sweater, but the body is like a solid color, and I used Drops Air for like all of all the colors. And it's just kind of pilling a lot, and I also had some issues with some of the skeins just not being evenly blown in, like where you would have kind of like lumps in some parts of the yarn and then other parts were completely empty chain knit. So I kind of told myself that I don't really want to make another sweater out of the Drops Air. I do also have a cardigan in it where the issue with the lumps was even more. I literally had to throw out like almost a whole skein because it was just not usable. So I just kind of took a little break from the Drops Air because I just didn't think it was a great yarn. And yeah, I mean, I think I talked about it here. I said I'm not going to knit another sweater out of Drops Air, but look at me here. Essentially what happened is I let my aunt choose, and she was just really excited about the prospect of this yarn, that it was really fluffy, it was going to be really warm, which is something she was looking for, and she chose it. So I'm not gonna like tell her, I told her like about all the, you know, it might pill, it might not be like the most durable, like it might be really warm, it might be kind of like suffocating if you're in a warm room already, but she just kind of liked all the positive aspects and didn't mind like the negative aspects of the yarn. So she picked it, and she picked this color, so I was more than happy to make it for her. And I have to say that I have not yet encountered any issues with the irregularities of the yarn. Maybe something that Drops kind of fixed, that would be lovely, but so far so good, and this is what it looks like. I mentioned this in my last like podcast, but something that was surprising, that might be good to know if you're knitting this sweater, because I think in the images it doesn't show that clear, is that the twisted stitch raglan, which starts from like basically is an extension of the collar, it actually continues like down on the side. So that was kind of a fun surprise. I didn't realize that when I was just looking at the pictures from the book. And I also remember looking at Ravelry like projects, and I didn't notice it, or maybe I just looked at the wrong project, but just something to note. I am making the size medium, so this is what that looks like. It is like, I think, one size larger than what I would make for myself. And otherwise it's been an amazing pattern. I think Veronica Lindberg really like, you know, takes you by the hand in writing in her patterns, and there's not really that much left up to imagination or own interpretation. So far so good. The plan with this sweater is that I don't actually continue it until I'm back with my aunt, so I can actually try it on her. That just kind of prevents me from knitting too long of sleeves or too long of a body. And when I'm with her, I'll be there for like a long weekend, which gives me more than enough time, hopefully, to finish this Simple Things sweater. Not Simple Things sweater, the Coffee Run sweater by Veronica Lindberg. It is part of her second book. So yeah, but you can also get the pattern by itself, I think. Then the next project, which I kind of cast on a whim because it was really warm and I was just excited for summer, and I just like could not handle a long or a heavy like woolen sweater on me. I just needed a break from the Coffee Run sweater, so then I cast it on this t-shirt. Let me show you. So it looks like this at the moment. It's almost finished. So this is also part of the book 52 Weeks of Easy Knits, which I also own, and I think it's even the first pattern in that book, because it's 52 patterns. It's quite a hefty book, but this is the first one in there. And I'm knitting it out of, put this thing back on the yarn, although that's the ball I'm using right now, but I'm knitting it out of the Drops Belle, which I've heard great things about, so I was really excited to try it. This is a yarn, maybe, hope you can see it here. It's like a mixed yarn of, let's see, cotton, viscose, and linen. So 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. And the nice thing about this yarn, there you can see it, is that like the different like compositions of different materials are quite like notably different. I think linen is always going to kind of stand out from cotton. And viscose, I guess, blends in both, but that kind of gives it this interesting marling. Like, it's ever so slight, because I guess the different materials take on the color differently, but when you then knit it up, I really love love the way this texture is turning out. It's like a bit of a rougher, like it's definitely not like the smoothest stockinette, but I just love the texture that comes out of it. Like I think it's the cotton and linen combination. It still really like beautifully shows the raglan. Like here you can see it. So I'd still say that the stitch definition is quite good. I mean, mind you, this is like a dark blue yarn, so with a lighter yarn it'll be better. So with the yarn so far I'm really impressed. Like it feels nice. It's also not that bad on your fingers. Now I know that linen is not that great on your fingers, and neither is a pure cotton yarn. But I mean, put it this way, there are cotton yarns that are really rough on your fingers, and that same thing goes with linen. So I think with the combination in this yarn, maybe it's viscose, but it's actually really okay to knit with. Of course, it's a bit rougher than say a merino wool or like any sort of like wool blend. But for it being like a linen cotton mix, I think it's a really like, it's a comfortable yarn to knit with, which is good because I have a really big project planned with this one. So yeah, so far my fingers are quite happy, and I've kind of knit this in like 4 or 5 days of just like a lot of knitting. Like it's kind of something that I knit quite a lot of like a few weeks ago, and now I'm trying to finish it mainly because I want to use the needles for a new project. But as you can see, I'm almost done because it's a t-shirt, so then I'm like literally a few rows before casting off. In terms of the pattern, I do want to talk about that. So what I like is that it's like a nice, very basic, like shaped t-shirt. You can kind of see it quite nicely here. It's a raglan construction. I'm making the second size because the size comes in like 1 through 8 or something like that. And in the model is definitely not my size. Like a few sizes bigger is my guess. It doesn't say what size the model is. And I don't know if it was designed just on a very different body type, but it, for example, from the bottom of the like sleeve, like what is this, the armpit area, until like where it tells you to cast off, it says 15 centimeters. And I tried that on yesterday and it was like literally 5 centimeters above my belly button. And like, I know that my torso is normal. I don't think I have a very long torso. I think it's pretty normal. And then I kind of went on Ravelry to check some of the other projects, and they had also mentioned that they needed to add like between 7 and 10 centimeters kind of from the projects that I read of length to the t-shirt. In the pictures on this model that's in the book, it looks like a normal tee. It's sure it's a bit of a crop tee, but it's not like a crop tee where like literally like your entire torso is showing. So then I ended up adding, I think I added like 8 centimeters. So almost, what's that in inches? I don't know, almost 3 inches, like this much. So this is where she tells you to stop, like for reference. This is the t-shirt. This is the t-shirt. The stitch marker here, where is it? Here is where she tells you to stop, and I had to add like all this. So a significant chunk. I'm on my last skein of yarn, but I'm not worried because I know I'll finish it. But just something to keep in mind with this project, maybe buy a little bit extra yarn because the pattern is very cropped. Like unless you're really looking for a crop top, you'll need a little bit of extra yarn. So that's that. I love the sleeves. You kind of do like a row of purl and then you like fold it in. So that's nice. But the only other thing is that the neckline is super like up here in the picture. How to explain this? Like in the picture, the neckline, the collar is just like a lot more open. Maybe it's like here, but with the t-shirt, it's literally like tight on my neck. Again, I don't think I have a tight neck. I saw other people on Ravelry also mention this, that the smaller sizes have a very tight neck. So I guess something to also know when you're costing this on. Maybe, I don't know, maybe cast on a bigger size for your neck and then follow the raglan of the smaller sizes. I think that might get you there better. And then the last thing I want to talk about this pattern is it has some very questionable short rows at the back. Like I followed the pattern and this is kind of what it came out to. Do you see this bulge here? So it's literally just like, I don't know, it's just a bulge because you do like short rows here, I guess, to make the back higher. But they're just super short rows, like they're literally like this much. So it kind of results in this weird bulge. I really hope that I can even that out with blocking people have also like mentioned this on Ravelry. So I guess this is something that I wish I had read more. I wish I'd done more research on Ravelry before I casted this on. I'm still really happy with it. I'm still really like happy and excited about the material, and like I think the cut is going to be exactly like my style of t-shirt. But there are definitely a few things about the pattern where I wish it was just, yeah, a little different. If I were to make this again, I would definitely make some adjustments to the pattern, and I'm gonna try my best to like write it on my pattern in my book to like know that the next time. But yeah, I should also mention that this is on 3mm needles and the gauge is 20 stitches. So it's actually really small stitches for a pretty, really small needles for a pretty big gauge, but it works out and it's really fine to knit. But enough about this. So that was the Give Me the Tea t-shirt. So the next project I want to share looks like this at the moment. And it is the Darjeeling blouse by Trusty Mojo. This is essentially this blouse t-shirt that has buttons at the front with a wide V opening and these beautiful lace picot like hems at the bottom and at the sleeves. This was a pattern that I knew I needed to make as soon as I saw it. It was kind of like a no-brainer, like I know I'm making this summer. So I had already like ordered the yarn specifically for it, and I went with the Drops Cotton Merino. So it is this one right here in this beautiful green color. This is color number 22, and it is essentially this like forest green color. It has a little bit of marling in the skein itself, so it has like lighter greens with darker greens mixed together. So the Drops Cotton Merino is a 50% merino, 50% cotton blend, and it suggests a needle size of 4mm, but for this project I'm using 3.5mm to meet gauge. I am half a stitch under what I should need, so I think I have 21.5 stitches and I need 22 stitches or something like that. But that's really like, it gives a nice fabric with the cotton merino. The yarn is super soft. I love it. I think this might become one of my favorite yarns. I'm not sure yet, so I need to I'm excited to finish this project to kind of find that out. And it's just like a pleasure to work with. It's definitely still a light fabric. Like it's kind of stretchy, and the stitch is also pretty like defined. It's nice. Like it has a good stitch definition. I'm excited. So the yarn, so far so good, like 5 out of 5 stars for the yarn. So this is what my blouse currently looks like. You essentially make this long like body piece. Like I genuinely don't know how to show it. It's just this long piece of knitting essentially. The bottom here is beautiful. I think it's such a nice, I'm gonna just put in videos of this, like I genuinely don't know how to show it otherwise. It was fun to knit. Like it's definitely a little bit more of an advanced pattern. She includes videos which are helpful, and yeah, so you kind of do it's bottom up, so you do the picot hem, then you do the lace, and then you transition into plain stockinette, which I've done up here. So this is the body, and then you kind of do the sleeves and then you attach it. So it kind of looks like a saddle shoulder construction, but like bottom up. I don't know if you can still call it saddle shoulder if you're making it like the other way around. I guess you can, I don't know. In terms of the pattern, it was a little bit like, okay, first I needed to figure out what size I was gonna make. I chose the second size, I think it's size S, with the positive ease of like a few centimeters, like 2 or 3 centimeters. But this, as you can see, is like really long. Like it's like, I can't even find the end of it. So I'm not really sure. Obviously it's like a button down at the front. I'm worried that it's just gonna be too wide. So yeah, I don't really know. I'm just gonna make it and see what happens, and worst comes to worst, and if it's really too wide for myself, I'll gift it to my mom. But yeah, I'm a bit worried because it's like, in the pictures it looks like you need like a centimeter of overlap, but I have like literally, if I wrap it around my body, it's like this much overlap. It's fine. I'm just gonna trust the process and go with it. My gauge is fine. Like I really like calculated with my gauge, and that's the reason I chose the S and not the M, or not the size up. We shall see. I'm really trusting the process on this one, which I think is also why I've put it aside for a few days, because I'm a bit cautious now. I did start the sleeve, which I think is super cute. Oops. It's like this tiny little thing right now where you kind of cast on from the bottom and then I guess you join it all later. So yeah, we'll see on that one. It's like, do you ever like get that when you kind of are probably realistically with this over halfway through a project and then you realize that it's not gonna fit or it's not exactly what you kind of wanted it to be, and then you're just demotivated? I don't know, that's kind of like the phase I'm in with this project at the moment. I just think it's such a gorgeous pattern, and I honestly think if this one is too big, I'll cast it on again in the smaller size for myself, because like it's something that I want. Like I want this blouse or this t-shirt like in my closet. I want to be able to wear it. So yeah, I guess this is my practice run either way, whether it fits me or not. The next and the last work in progress that I'm going to share today, this is probably the one I'm most excited about. It's just given me so much joy, this project. I've kind of like just always wanted another like mohair-esque item. I didn't really like know what that was gonna be. I mean, I had bought the yarn, and then I was kind of like, it was getting cold again in this spring of May that we had, and I was really motivated to cast on a long sleeve, but like a light summer long sleeve, and I'm super excited about it. So let me show you. It currently looks like this. So I'd say I'm like a third of the way through the body, and the connoisseurs of knitting patterns out there might already notice or might already recognize what this is, and it is the Cumulus Blouse V-neck by PetiteKnit, which I'm making out of the yarn Diablo by Hobbii, which is a blend of 40% acrylic, 30% mohair, and 30% polyamide. And it's essentially this lace weight mohair blend yarn. And I bought this yarn mainly because it was on sale, and it was also like they had a white color of it, which I want to use to make a cardigan for my wedding next year. And I said, you know what, if I have the yarn, it's perfect. And yeah, but I wanted to like kind of test out the yarn beforehand before I make a cardigan, and the last thing I want is like a stress knitting whatever before my wedding. So I bought it in this beautiful green color, which is color 54. It's a sage green, that I just wanted to use to kind of try the yarn and see if it's like nice to wear, to see if I can use the white color I bought for a nice little cardigan. And so far so good. I've like, it's just such a pleasure. This color, like I look at the color, I'm like, this might be my favorite color at the moment. Like, oh, it's so beautiful. I'm holding it double, of course, as she also suggests in the pattern. And I'm using, what are these? These are 4.5mm needles, which got me to a gauge of 18 stitches holding these double. I also tried a gauge swatch with 5mm needles, but that got me to 16 stitches, so it was like very loose and I just didn't want that. So I decided to follow the needles on the gauge that she recommends, and this is where we're at. So it is a very like fine piece. It's a very simple pattern, I will say. It's a single stitch raglan, kind of like at the shoulders and at the back, which I think just like works. It works with this thing. Like, I think this is an excellent example of how like less is more in the knitting world sometimes. It's just like easy. It's like very beginner friendly so far. Like, I haven't done the I-cord yet, so ask me again when I do that. So the construction is essentially top down, but you kind of like start flat here. Like you kind of like start with this and then you go back and forth, of course, with the V opening, and then you join it together. I'm making size S, and I've actually decided to join it together a little bit earlier, so I did like one of the repeats less, which I think is 4 rounds, just because in the pictures I felt like she was wearing probably an S or an XS, and it was quite low, and I just want this to be something that I don't have to worry about being like too low cut. So I figured better too high than too low at the end, so I'm just gonna play it safe and kind of join it together in the row or in the round a little bit earlier. And yeah, now I've kind of put the sleeves on rest, and I'm gonna continue with the body. One thing I will say about this yarn is that it's not the nicest knitting experience. If you're a tactile knitter, this might not be your best knitting experience, or that you might want to stay clear of this. So I don't know, that I have one more long sleeve mohair and I don't remember it being so sticky when knitting. It's just that the yarn is very fuzzy, right? So then it kind of like catches onto itself, and sometimes like I actually cannot get the stitch like through, so I just kind of like poking a little bit with my needle and then I can get it through. It's fine, it doesn't really bother me, but I think I can only work on this for so long because of that, because it's just not as quick of a knit. Like I think when I knit stockinette, I'm usually pretty fast. Like I can kind of like not look and just do it pretty quickly. I knit continental, but with this one, I don't know, it's just not really flowing the way I would want it to, but I guess it's part of the yarn. Yeah, so in terms of knitting experience, I would not rate it too high, but I blame that purely on the yarn and not on the pattern. And I also think that if you would hold like one strand of the Diablo with like a regular wool yarn, I don't think you'd have this issue. It's just that like you can already kind of see like how fuzzy it is, and like I think it's just that this fuzz kind of gets like just caught in itself. So I'm curious like how it'll wear. Like I'm definitely curious like how this yarn kind of like wears and tears over time. So far, I would still really recommend it, like as long as you don't mind that every stitch is not going to be the same smoothness to the stitch before it. So those are the works in progress that I'm currently working on. Essentially, I've made the transition into like my summer or spring knitting, which I'm super excited about. I'm also noticing that like summer knits just go faster. Like this t-shirt, the Give Me the Tea, I literally made that like in a few days. I mean, it is just stockinette on a 20 stitch gauge for a summer item. That's gonna be quick, but it's just such a nice like break from all the sweaters and the winter knitting. It's lighter, it's giving me like just like a little glimpse of summer, although it's not here yet. And yeah, so my list of summer knits is long. I will be kind of sharing all my summer knitting plans on here, probably sooner rather than later. And for those like mini projects, I've purchased some new yarns. I want to share my acquisitions with you. So essentially what the plan is, I want to make my mom and my dad both a long sleeve, kind of like a summer sweater. So I'm excited to kind of like knit something for them. I've never made something for them just because I've always been living really far away, but now that they're here, I'm just excited to like get to knit something for them that they can actually wear. So I went to my local yarn shop. I should probably preface this with they both chose their own pattern as well as the yarn that they want with it. Mainly because it's versions of yarns that I either used in a previous project or that I had lying around at home. So I went to my local yarn shop where I bought my mum's yarn. So this is the Campo by Lana Grossa. This is a 65% cotton, 25% viscose and 10% linen blend. It comes in these like 50 gram balls, and this is color number 7. So it's this beautiful like blue, like deep blue, navy blue kind of color. And I'm going to make another Elizabeth blouse out of this one. It will be my 3rd Elizabeth blouse, but it's for my mom, and like that's the pattern she really wanted. So I'm lucky that my local yarn shop had this. I think it's gonna be a really nice summer yarn. I also have like this in a pink color, which I'm gonna make something else out of. But yeah, this is my first acquisition and I have high hopes. I really have high hopes for this yarn. I believe I purchased one of these for around €4.95, so just under €5, which I think is a really decent price, especially for Lana Grossa, which by the way, I've recently learned that Lana Grossa is like basically from the exact same part of Germany where I'm from, which is kind of fun. So I guess we're staying local over here. Then I put in, or my dad chose the Drop Spell yarn, so that's the same one as the Give Me the Tea, and he chose it in the color Petrol, and therefore I put in a drops yarn. So I ordered 2 different drops yarns, which I'll share soon, but I ordered literally 15 skeins of this like Petrol blue Drop Spell. I will say it's a little bit like lighter than it looks on camera here, and it was a little bit surprising because I have the wool that drops Lima in color Petrol, which is darker because I guess the fibers just take to the dye differently. So this one is definitely like a lot lighter, and that was a little bit of a surprise when I took it out the box, but my dad says he loves it, so we're gonna stick with it. It's almost like a light blue. Like I would classify this as like a light turquoise, I guess. Here you can see, well, this is pretty true to color now. But yeah, 15 skeins of this to be made into another zipper sweater like by PetiteKnit. I had to order more of the Drops Cotton Merino. I mean, it was a matter of kind of like getting to the shipping price. So I ordered a long sleeve amount of the Drops Cotton Merino in this beautiful light yellow, which I really like. Everyone is knitting in this light yellow right now. It's not like exactly in my color palette, but sometimes you just gotta, you know, knit with different colors as well. And I think I'm gonna make a Sevilla blouse out of this. I have to see with the gauge if that matches, maybe hold it with something, but yeah, that's the plan right now. That can change, but I have like a long sleeve amount of this. And then the last Drops yarn I ordered with that is the Drops Lima, which is, I already have it. I haven't knit anything out of it yet though. And I just got it in this like neutral color, which, yeah, is not really my colors. Maybe I'll hold it with like a white mohair to like make it a little bit more white than this. What do you call this? This is color number 206. So it's kind of like, I don't know, this beige, very light beige. By the way, the Cotton Merino is color number 17, if anyone is wondering. Yeah, so I have a sweater quantity of this. I don't know, I'm thinking maybe a cable sweater, maybe by Kutovakika, maybe by PetiteKnit, I'm not sure yet, but this is mainly stock for the winter. And then the last acquisition, and I acknowledge that this is a lot, this is not my normal yarn buying, I just kind of like happened to order a lot of yarn on the same day, just kind of like bite the bullet and just get it over and done with. But for my partner, I want to knit another sweater this winter. And we kind of like splurged a little bit. I say splurged because it's quite expensive where we live. But we bought the knitting for Olive Merino. This is a fingering weight yarn, I believe. Here, so this is the color Dark Moose. And we had this kind of like little thing where he wanted a brown sweater. And it was between the, I think it's called Brown Bear or the Dark Moose, which on the internet they look, or on the website, they look very similar, both kind of like shades of brown. And now this color came as Dark Moose. And I acknowledge that it still looks brown, but it's definitely more of a grayish brown tone that we anticipated. And we kind of went back and checked the color on the website, and it's like, it's definitely way more brown. And then it turns out I had like the true tone on my laptop, which just kind of like made it that little shade of like grayish brown versus like more of a yellowish brown. Made that difference. We bought 11 skeins of this, which we were like, do you want to send it back? Like, do you want like an actual brown? Should we go for the Brown Bear instead? But we're gonna keep it and we're gonna love it. Like, this is already such like, oh, it's so nice just to hold it. I feel like everyone is knitting out of this yarn. So now I'm also getting to knit with it. And one of these skeins was €8.15, just where we live. I think it kind of depends where you live, how you pay the taxes, if it's already added on, if you kind of add it at the end. For this yarn, I already swatched. So this is a swatch here, you can see it, in the Half Fisherman's Rib Stitch, which is the pattern he chose. The pattern he chose is the Numa sweater, which is a pattern where I will be holding this single. So I'm gonna be knitting it on like 3 or 3.5 millimeter needles, a men's sweater in Half Fisherman's Rib Stitch, which is a choice, I understand, but it's a really nice pattern, and I'm excited to cast it on probably like after my summer endeavors, or maybe during, and kind of have it be something that I kind of like work on every now and then. It's gonna take a while, like this is not gonna be your quick sweater, but I'm really fine with that, and he's excited about it, and yeah, that's all that matters, I guess. So that's my last acquisition, the knitting for Olive Merino in the color Dark Moose. So that brings us to the end of today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed all my whips and acquisitions and everything that I had to share today. Let me know down below what you're currently working on. I would love to hear all about your whips or your future summer cost-ons if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. I would love for you to subscribe and stick around for a little bit longer. I post videos on here around about every single week, and I'm already looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, take care. Bye.